everyone, welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles channel. My name is Erin and we're here for another podcast episode today. I have quite a few things to update you on. I don't have any finished products. It's been a long week. I can't even talk today. So I did not make any new farmers market craft fair items because last week my farmers market actually got rained out. It was supposed to be July 5th. I think it was the 5th of last week. And in my area we had a really heavy rainstorm like right when it was supposed to start, so they ended up canceling the market. I think because almost everyone had canceled before that, I got the impression that a lot of the vendors had emailed them or said like, hey, I'm actually not going to be there because of the rain. Also, the park that I do my market at, it's at the base of a hill, so it would have gotten very squishy from the rain to try to set up in the grass. So probably best that we didn't set up, even though the rain didn't end up coming back after that initial downpour. So like if it was just the rain we had to consider, we probably could have set up a little bit later than usual and still had the market, but I think the ground would have been just too saturated with water and we would have had like continued runoff and it would have just gotten worse as the afternoon went on. So we did not end up having a market last week, which was fine because I was busy with other things anyway, but also that meant I didn't feel the need to do any more market production items this week, so I didn't do any plushies or any of my other like usual items that I stock, just because I didn't sell any last week. So hopefully this week everything will be fine. I'm filming this on Tuesday, you're seeing it on Wednesday, so I'm actually at my farmer's market by the time this video comes out. So fingers crossed that it all went well. And then the other like big thing that I was trying to do, which as you know if you've watched other podcast episodes, I usually film my podcasts on Monday, but I was trying really hard to finish a vlog for you guys on Monday, and then I started running out of yarn. So I generally don't like to have more than one video at a time on my camera memory card. I like to keep it separate and like film one thing at a time, which is why I typically film podcasts on Mondays, because then I have Tuesday through Friday, like Friday morning-ish, to finish whatever my other video is for the week. So that didn't happen because I was running out of yarn. I actually started a project as a scrap project, and you'll get more details about it when the vlog does come out, because I think now I will actually be able to finish. But I started with a project that I was like, oh, this is going to be great and use up all of my cotton scraps, at least in like the color palette I was going for. And then I did not quite have enough cotton scraps for it to work the way I wanted. So since I'm already talking about that, I have to look at all my bags and remember which one is that project. Since we're already talking about that one, might as well just dive into it. I was working on the Good Vibes vest by Craft and a Cuppa. I'm just adjusting my string here so that I don't lose my place since I took the hook out. It is a free tutorial on YouTube, and when I do the vlog I'll link the pattern for it. It is a crochet vest that starts with a granny pentagon in the back, and you can see that like I have a significant amount of this vest done. The way it works is you're supposed to lace it up in the front, and the original version actually has a hood at the back as well. I'm kind of discovering that I am going to have to make some adjustments for my measurements. I think the original pattern was scaled for someone who is fairly petite, and I was just finding that with my body proportions it wasn't fitting quite the same way that hers was, because in her pattern, you can see I have the armholes here. In her pattern, you're just supposed to continue going around in rows until you can close it in the front. But for me, since my proportions are wider, that meant that this section between the like shoulder blades to the neck was getting too long too fast. So I decided to adjust the pattern. It was starting to get very long in the back, and I didn't want it to be too long, even though I like the tunic length look. I didn't want it to be like down to my knees in the back. So I am now only adding rows to the front. So I will end up with a kind of shawl collar. I'm trying to like hold this up so you can see what I'm talking about, and it's just not cooperating with me. I will end up with a vest that has a folded collar and then laces in the front more towards the waist. But I do have quite a few rows left to do, and I was starting to run out of some colors, which, considering this was a scrap project, I'm not, or like a stash buster project, because I did use some whole skeins in this that I didn't have another plan for. I'm not disappointed in that at all. But the one color that I did decide to order another skein of is this blue-green color. So I actually just placed an Amazon order for it because I don't have time this week to do a craft store run, which is really a shame because I did a craft store run on Sunday and totally could have gotten a skein of this yarn, but I wasn't thinking about it then. I thought I was going to be able to finish in fewer rows because that's what the original pattern had. So I ordered another skein of this like teal blue color, like blue-green, because I am making it to match, coordinate with this skirt that will be part of one of my Ren Faire costumes. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that is going to be a Ren Faire like bodice vest piece. I'm kind of going for a eclectic mushroom hobbit look. I think that's the aesthetic name that we're going to go with. I'm going to include some of my mushroom pieces that I've already made from last year. I'm also hoping to get a hat for that costume. Not get a hat, make a hat for that costume. But we'll see how much time I have because we're starting to get towards like actual Ren Faire dates are coming up pretty soon for me. Looks like I'm going to be going a total of 3 times this season. And because of that, I've been kind of not scrambling to finish projects, but like reordering my plan for videos versus like what I originally had planned, if that makes sense. So you guys seem to be liking the like costume content for Ren Fairs, and I do want to include more of that, which is why I filmed myself making the vest, which you'll get to see Friday this week if all goes according to plan. I also have a friend who has placed another custom order. She's the same friend who requested the mushroom hat, and she's ordered a couple of other things from me now over the years. She actually wants a pair of fairy wings, which now that I know how to do them are actually pretty fast, so I didn't mind adding that to my plan. But it's not going to get its own video because I already did that. But you will get to see it here on the podcast as I make progress on those. That's actually my project for this afternoon while I wait for my yarn to arrive for my vest so that I can finish the row that I'm on. But yeah, I'm going to the Bristol Renaissance Fair, which is in Wisconsin. It's the closest one to me. I don't think there's another big one in my area that I know of. I don't even know if like the Chicago area has a Renaissance Fair. I grew up near-ish to Chicago, and we always came up to the Bristol one in Wisconsin growing up. So if there's another like big one in the Midwest that you know of, let me know in the comments. I'd be curious maybe next year to expand my Ren Faire travels and maybe do like a travel vlog for you guys if that's in the cards for me. Because I've only ever seen the Bristol one. I have been to one in France, which sounds like very bougie that I just said that. But the one in France is more of a medieval fair, and it's more not strictly historical. There are a couple of fantasy elements to it, but it's a little bit more historically accurate than the ones in the US typically are. I think the ones in the US they kind of just operate on vibes at this point instead of like historical accuracy. Although the Bristol Renaissance Fair does have someone who acts as Queen Elizabeth. I believe that's the correct one. I don't know which Queen Elizabeth, if there's more than one, but someone who acts as the Queen of England, and she watches the joust and has like a tea party and has her like caravan that follows her around of her servants and ladies' maids and companions and stuff like that. So there's some historical stuff going on, but there's also a lot of dragons and things like that. So, but if you ever are in France, and it's been so long since I've been there because I went as a kid, but the park is called Puy de Fou, which I think means Place of the Fools. I don't know. My French is getting worse as years go by instead of better. But highly recommend the experience if you ever have a chance to be out there. Even if you're not French speaking, I remember it being very fun as someone who was not fluent in French. I knew a little bit at that time because I think I was in middle school, which meant I would have started taking French at school, but I definitely didn't know very much at all. So that was like a very long Ren Fair tangent. But anyway, I'm going to the Bristol one, I believe 3 times this year with different groups and combinations of friends. So if you're also going, don't be afraid to say hi. I have yet to have met a viewer in person other than people who I knew from other things and then they watched my videos, because that's different. But if you see me, feel free to say hi. I'd love to say hi to anyone who happens to be watching. Moving on. I think I covered all the Ren Fair stuff. Anyway, you're going to see some more Ren Fair videos from me over the summer, which meant that I pushed some of my other content I had planned back by a few months. I do still have some patterns that I want to release for you guys, but they're going to be more late summer instead of mid-summer because of trying to get Ren Fair projects done first. So that's kind of what to expect as far as like pattern releases and content from me. I'm hoping to do some like get ready with me videos for the Renaissance Fair, which for me will not just include like actually getting all the costume pieces on and doing hair and makeup and stuff. It'll be like all the last minute little tiny pieces I plan on making, like jewelry and small accessories and things like that I'm honestly probably just going to do the day before we go. So that's kind of the plan for the next few weeks of Stitches and Scribbles videos. In other news, I do have some other whips that I'm working on, and some craft supplies to show you. So as I said, I did go to Joann on Sunday because I was getting yarn for the friend who ordered fairy wings. So she decided she wanted her fairy wings in the Lily Sugar and Cream cotton in the color Sonoma, which is one of my old standbys for craft fair items. I make a lot of towel tamers and like little cotton items in this color just because it's neutral and kind of universally appealing but still fun. So it's a light beige with pops of like dusty orange, sage green, and a dark brown. I'm hoping that that kind of shows on camera. So I got 2 of those, and then I also got the bag because I love Joann's reusable bags. They also were having a sale on some items, although actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if these were actually on sale or if they were just like near the checkout. But I got 3 spools of thread to increase my motivation to actually get out my sewing machine. So maybe that'll be coming soon. Who knows? Even though I'm excited to learn how to sew, the like initial process of like getting the sewing machine out and figuring out how to use it seems very daunting for some reason. I don't know if it's because I'm like afraid I'm going to sew my finger or like what the deal is, but I do want to get it out and try it soon, as soon as I can. The one item I found that was actually on sale was a candle, because I love candles. So I got this honey butter pumpkin scented candle from the Place and Time brand. I liked that probably won't even show because of the bright light and the candle inside, but the jar itself has like leaf veins on it in this like kind of buttery yellow color. And this one just smelled really good. It seemed like a good like sweet fall scent. And I go through candles really quickly. I like having them on a lot. There's actually one behind me right now. That one's looking a little worse for wear. For some reason that jar has turned all black at the top and I don't know how to prevent that. But I like having candles on to like make the room smell a little bit nicer and just for the like cozy vibes, especially when it's cool out. Right now it's like pretty cold in my basement, so that's why I have this one on at the moment. But I go through candles very quickly, especially the like fall and Christmas scents, because during those seasons I really do have one on almost all the time while I'm working from home. So that's what I purchased from Joann. Should have just gotten another skein of that teal yarn for my vest, but I was not thinking. I also was having friends over immediately after, so part of my brain was trying to like shop really quickly so that I could go home for my friends to come over. So that might have been part of the equation, but I also hadn't gotten to the point in the vest yet where the rows were getting so long that they were eating up like an entire color for each row. So that was probably part of the thought process there too. But actually one of the friends who came over was the friend who ordered the fairy wings. So I got to show her the yarn in person. I had sent her like a screenshot of it from the Joann website to like confirm that was the color she wanted. But that group that came over is one of the groups that I'm going to the Renaissance Fair with. So that group, we typically go 2 days. So 2 of the 3 days that I'm going are with that group of friends. The first time we're going, just the ladies are going. And that's our shopping weekend. And we do that so that we're not dragging the boys into shops all the time with us, but also so that we have a designated day to like sit and watch shows and a designated day to like go shopping. And it's now at the point where a lot of us get like Christmas gifts for people from the Renaissance Fair, and we like know the vendors that are there well enough that we can kind of plan ahead of like, okay, I need to get this many things from the soap place that we like. I need to look at the steampunk place for this person. So the Bristol Renaissance Fair actually has a marketplace weekend where if you spend a certain amount of money, you get free tickets to return. That's not necessarily our goal to spend that much money, but we figured if we're doing a designated shopping weekend, like why not make it the weekend where we could possibly get free tickets out of it. So going with them the marketplace weekend, and then we're going back a different weekend with the whole group, guys and kids included, so that we can watch some of the shows and do more of the like activities of the Renaissance Fair instead of like strictly shopping. That also means that like if during our shopping weekend we like need a week to think about if we want to buy something or not, we can, when we come back, we can pick it up as well. Because some of the guys do like poking their heads in the shop, but not to stereotype, but I think we like the shops more than they do. So having a designated day for that has worked well for us in the past. I think this will be either the second or third year that we've done kind of that format. But then I'll be going back later in the season with my sister-in-law. So I'm excited for all of those, especially because with that third one, that means I get to use a third costume, which is very exciting. Don't know what that one's going to be yet. I might start working on the costume that was also going to be my Halloween costume, but we'll see when we get there. I have like thoughts of doing a pirate costume for Halloween, so I might just kind of give it a test run at that Ren Fair later in the season. But anyway, I have some more projects to show you. The other project that I've been working on fairly consistently the last couple days, especially when I started running out of yarn yesterday, is this triangle shawl, which I know I've shown before and I've made like a million variations of it, but it's just a garter stitch shawl, And on one edge, I'm doing a yarn over increase every other row. So only when I'm starting on this side do I do the yarn over increase. And this is just with a mandala, a Lion Brand mandala yarn. I think this was the color Griffin, which is the like brown, light blue, purple, and like raspberry tones. But I have a bunch more up here, both the Lion Brand ones and other similar ones. But that's my like good relaxing project. It's also been a good travel project for going on car trips or like sitting in the movie theater and watching. But recently I have kind of taken a leaf out of Knitty Natty's book, and she reads on her Kindle while she's knitting. Which at first I like looked at her doing that and went like, there's no way that I'm coordinated enough to do that. But actually I can, provided that the stitch is easy enough. And I don't know if I've talked about the reading and knitting before. It really only works for me if I do it on an e-reader or on a screen. Because then I can just push a button or push the edge of the screen to turn the page. And I also don't have to hold the book open. I have been able to do it in the past with like really big, heavy books. Usually ones where the, like, it's not just that the book is thick, it's that the, like, the hardcover edges are bigger than normal, like, think textbook size books. I have been able to read and knit at the time with books, read and knit at the same time with books like that, but generally, like, I can't do it with paperbacks, and I can't do it with, like, little hardcovers, especially if they're not very thick. And even with thicker hardcovers, I have to be like towards the middle of the book for that to work. If I'm too close to the beginning or the end, then it can't stay open by itself. So that has been kind of my like reading and knitting project, which is nice that I'm making some more progress on it. I have a couple other projects that I would like to be like next on the docket as my read and knit projects. One of them being my birthday scarf, which I swear I'm going to finish it at some point. It just might be like my next birthday by the time it's actually done. And I also want to like actually finish the pair of socks that I've been working on since January, because parts of sock knitting I think I'd be able to do while reading. So I actually did work a little bit on my sock this week. You can't tell. It probably looks the same time as last time I showed it. But I have done a solid like 10 rows on the heel. I think I was in like the first row of the heel last time I worked on these. I'm just following the Knitty Natty toe up with, what's it called? Toe up socks with an afterthought heel tutorial series. She has a separate video for each step of the process. So I started with this toe and worked my way up. And these are both like discontinued colors from Hobby Lobby yarn. So I won't even bother repeating what they are because I don't think you can get them anymore. But this is the first sock. I would like to finish this and start the second sock. So hopefully next time I do a podcast, maybe I will actually have that sock finished. That would be really nice. I could like just do it today if I wanted to. Is that going to happen? Probably not. So that's the other project that I did actually pull out this week and was really proud of myself for doing that. But most of my time has been working on that Good Vibes vest because I think it's the biggest Ren Faire piece I have remaining. Although it's in like my costume order, I'm going to be wearing my kind of butterfly inspired costume first. So that's the one where I need to make some decisions if there are any last minute pieces I want to make for that. And then the second time I go, I'll be wearing the mushroom costume, actually with my friend who ordered the mushroom hat. We're going to coordinate on that day and both do mushroom themed things, but I need to finish her fairy wings for the first one because she's wearing the wings with that costume. We all have like a costume schedule for this now for going more than once. So it's gotten fairly intense for costume planning. Not intense, but like there's a lot of moving parts to decide like which costumes we're going to wear when. I said that right. Going to where and when. So yeah, finishing that vest is probably my biggest remaining Ren Faire project. unless I also decide to make some pieces for my pirate costume, which I think if I do, there's only one thing I have in mind that I want to make, which shouldn't take me too terribly long, and I can probably do it with scraps, but we'll get to that when we get there. I'm just having a lot of fun creating Ren Faire pieces. I think it's been a really fun way to experiment with crochet because there's only so many like knit and crochet pieces I can add to my normal wardrobe before I'm like drowning in sweaters. So being able to create my own costume pieces has been really, really fun, and also like the ability to make things in custom fit and in the yarn type that I want. So like that vest that I'm making is all cotton yarn, which means it's very heavy, but it won't be quite so hot when we go. As if I had made it with like acrylic or wool would just have been a terrible idea for a summer event. But the cotton is like bearable, especially when with that costume, if I wasn't making the vest, I'd probably be wearing a bodice with it. And those, even though they're not super thick like a crocheted piece are, they are very warm just because of how fitted they are. So this is actually like the comfier option of the two in terms of heat. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun designing pieces and really having fun with friends reaching out to me and asking to make them pieces for their costumes. So one friend already warned me that I'm gonna have to walk around with business cards because she'll be wearing that mushroom hat and probably get stopped a lot. So I will be going in prepared to tell people that I make things, and you should talk to me about it. But yeah, I used to really, really hate summer because I hate how hot it is. And a lot of summer activities don't like super appeal to me. Like having a beach day is not really high on my list of things I want to do. I could like go for a pool day. I just don't like sand. Pool day would be fine, but like I could live with it or without it. I'm not like super down for doing a pool day. But Ren Faire has made summer a lot more fun for me. Because I just wish it was Ren Faire all the time. To me, Ren Faire is like bonus Halloween, and Halloween is my favorite holiday to celebrate. I think because there's no pressure with Halloween. Like, I love Christmas and I love spending time with my family, but there's definitely a certain amount of like expectations that go with Christmas, Thanksgiving, like the family-centered holidays, and Halloween has none of that, and it has costumes. So it's kind of why it's my favorite one to celebrate. And hopefully I'll be doing some Halloween content for you all as well as we inch closer and closer to October, which if it weren't for Ren Faire, I'd be wishing it was fall already, but I can make an exception for Ren Faire. With all of that babbling about all the stuff, I think that's going to be it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for watching as always. If you want to follow me on other forms of social media, make sure that you check the description box below. Also, leave a comment, like this video, and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. I am officially part of the YouTube Partner Program now, so now I can actually make a little bit of additional income off of these videos. So that boosted interaction would really help me out a lot. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.